Hello, and thank you for joining the Walt Weekly Podcast. We're here today. We have a very, very important guest. And, one thing before we proceed, I want to just say that, we want to focus on Black entrepreneurs. We want to shed light on them. We want to focus on Black entrepreneurs, and we want to, shine light on them and give them some exposure. So, during this summer, that's what we're going to be focused on, bringing on guests that are CEOs or, they have their own businesses. And even if they're a startup, we want to hear about it. All right. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, reach out to the Walt Weekly. Our Gmail is the Walt Weekly at gmail.com. All right. So we're here today with Keena Parham, my co-host, and we have our special guest that we're going to shine some light on. We have Michael Dawes. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you all doing today?
Not bad, man. Thank you for, agreeing to interview with us. I've seen things that you've done, but first, let me just tell people a little bit about you.
Sure.
All right, Michael Dawes, he's a native of Robinsonville, North Carolina, and he's the proud owner and chief curating officer of the esteemed M Corbett Collection, custom clothiers. Having established the M Corbett Collection in 2019, during his time in the Washington, D.C. area, Michael's extensive expertise in menswear spans over a decade. His vision for the business was to provide discerning customers with unparalleled clothes, exquisitely, and that's hard for me to pronounce, folks. Let me say it, try it again. Exquisite styling and impeccable fits, allowing them to elevate their wardrobe to new heights. Notably, Michael Dawes stands out as one of the few Black custom clothiers serving Eastern North Carolina. However, his influence extends far beyond the North Carolina area. He is also covering Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, Georgia, California, and numerous other states, which we will get into. With a loyal clientele that spans across various states, Michael's business continues to thrive and leave a lasting impression on his customers. So, with that said, let me ask Michael, how are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well.
And the Michael Dawes Collection, CEO. Man, I'm so happy to have you, man. I just love when our people doing good. And that's what we want to focus on, the good. We want to focus on the good. So, Mike, tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into the questions.
So I worked in the retail industry for about 10 years, and while I was living in Washington, D.C., some friends of mine, they was just like ready for that. But I just decided to just step out there and start my own brand in June of 2019, and I've been here ever since.
All right. So, I am curious. What are the business in North Carolina? I'm from North Carolina. I'm from Williamson, which is 12 miles from Robinsonville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to think, did we play your guys? I came from E.J. Hayes, prior to the integration. All right? E.J. Hayes, we had the spirit. We should play Robinsonville. I think we used to beat up on your guys. Don't forget, we were coached by Boone, Herman Boone.
Oh, yeah.
All right, remember the Titans? He was our coach.
Remember the Titans? Oh, yes.
Yeah. So E.J. Hayes, he was a football coach, and that's when he won all those state championships with Williamson, the E.J. Hayes Tigers.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's before your time. So anyway, you can ask your mother and your grandmother about that. But Mike, tell me a little bit. I got some questions for you.
If I could go ahead and just chime in for a moment.
Yeah, please.
Michael, I'd love to know what kind of inspired your love for the fashion and retail industry.
Sure. So I grew up in church, so went to church like all the time. Men's clothing store. I don't know if too many people remember S&K, but so I found a job working at Joseph A. Bank Men's Clothing Store, and I just fell in love with men's clothing. And I fell in love with it so much, I decided that one day this is something that I would love to do, whether it's on my own or whether it's in a corporate space or something like that. So it would just be so that I would begin to start something of my own, which is a custom clothing business, to give customers that rooms for them to be able to curate and be able to kind of drive their own boat with what they're looking for, and give them plenty of options of what they would like to see in their own garments. So,
all right, cool.
When you say custom clothing, Is that more so like, and I'm asking because I'm not very familiar with
Sure.
all of the different lingo, right? Actually, my mom does tailoring, but I've seen her do a lot of different things. So in your line of work, is it more like someone can come in and ask for something from scratch, or do you have a specific, I guess, baseline of types of clothes and then they get it customized? Like, can you kind of walk us through what the process is like?
So that's a great question. So for us, in a sense, when it comes down, because we're mainly custom suiting, custom sport clothes, so custom tailored wear is what we do. And for a lot of outerwear, things of that nature, as long as it's within that realm, I'll get some people like, hey, do you do gowns? We don't do gowns or anything like that. But if it falls within that suiting category, even if it's a women's suit or a suit dress is what we like to call, or a jacket dress, that's something we can do as well. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yep. Because it was more along the lines of, helping me to understand, but then also for the audience, if they're looking to understand what kind of services you provide. So,
yes,
what they can come to you for.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All righty then. Yeah, I thought you had something else. I want to back up a little bit. All right. Can you share with us, what is behind the inception of M Corbett Collection custom clothes?
What was behind the inception of it?
Right.
So, yes.
What prompted you to start?
Sure. So, for me, I was in 2019, I'd actually taken a break from retail. I had been in retail for the last 8 years, and I felt like I needed a break. I needed to walk away from it a little bit. And so I found myself in a position where I was like, maybe I do need to get back into retail. So I started applying for some of these retail jobs. There was one job I applied to in particular, which was called Suit Supply. I don't know if people have heard of Suit Supply. It is a kind of a foreign-owned, quite a few locations based here in the United States. So I love the aesthetic. I applied for the role, interviewed twice with the manager, interviewed with HR, interviewed with the district manager. So I went through these process of interviews, and I knew I just landed that role. I was like, oh, I think I got the role. I'm telling my friends, like, I think this is in the bag. Only for me not to get this particular role. And that's when it dawned on me then. And the reason I did not get it, come to find out, was I think they were going with someone that was not a bigger guy. I'm a bigger guy. 6 feet, weigh almost 300 pounds. And
wow, jeez. That's Superman over there. Huh?
Yeah, that's not what they were looking for their brand. So it clicked. That's when it clicked with me that I needed to start something of my own. And so that's what I did. I took my own money that I had saved up, and I started my own business from there, and I have not looked back since. So
amazing. Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Kudos. I'm proud of you.
I love the idea of people charting their own path despite, let's just say the obstacles, lack of being accepted, and then you find out that you're better off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. The same thing happened to me, but then again, I was a little too late, with the wife and kids and the house and the dog and just all that kind of stuff. The thing is, you understand. I'm quite sure.
I do understand.
I know Keno understands also. So my next question is, what inspired, now these may be redundant because I'm reading from my list, all right? Maybe I didn't tie in anything earlier, but what inspired you to enter the world of customs menswear? And how have your roots in Robertsonville influenced your approach to fashion?
Oh, wow. Oh, this is a very lyric question. So my inspiration behind custom tailoring, so I worked at Men's Warehouse in 2015 to 2016, right before I graduated from ECU. And so Men's Warehouse had an actual custom suit program. But it wasn't a true custom suit. I can get into the lingo and stuff, but I don't have time to kind of explain all of that. But basically, theirs wasn't a true custom program. It was more of a, you pick the fit, you pick the fabric, but you're limited to what you can do as far as a suit is concerned. And my other reason was I saw quite a plethora of big and tall men between Joseph A. Bank, Men's Warehouse, and Nordstrom that would come into these stores and environments and have a hard time either finding a suit because either they just didn't have anything available and they weren't willing to make anything to accommodate that customer, or it was most of the time those customers just didn't receive the same attention as someone that was maybe like a off the rack fit would, if that makes sense. To answer the other part of your question, how are my roots in Robertsonville? So my roots in Robertsonville, again, Robertsonville is a very small town that is not known for any kind of fashion style or anything like that. It's very much so somewhere where you, as my mama, they say, you come here to die, you know? So,
It's like Florida.
Robertsonville, you move back there to kind of retire and let that be your last resting place before. So, part of that though is because my inspiration behind it, I wouldn't say Robertsonville inspired that, but what I will say is when I moved back to Robertsonville in 2020 during the pandemic, I saw that I was able to help those that I grew up with. I had so many people supporting me from Robertsonville. It was people I went to high school with, people that was just from the area that was coming to me like, Michael, I want one of your suits, what I need to do. And it just felt really good to be able to, put someone I went to school with that had never worn a suit before and boost their confidence in a custom suit. And I'll be honest, a lot of it was me, as far as payment is concerned. A lot of them sometimes couldn't afford to, pay the whole thing at once and stuff like that. And I would we work out payment plans. We're like, hey, why don't you give me $100 a day? You give me $200, next week. And we would work it out that way because I was just glad to receive the support because kind of that transition from Washington, D.C. back to Robertsonville was a very tough transition, especially we're talking about COVID-19 on top of transitioning back to a very, very small town where resources are limited. People don't have the same jobs they do in Washington, D.C. But what I will say is I had a great support system with people that was in Robertsonville that wanted to support my brand and wanted to see me do well. And I cannot ever say how grateful I am enough for that. So,
I understand. I definitely understand that.
I just have to say it's a privilege almost and a blessing for you to be able to say that people that really want to see you do well with the passion that you say it. So that's a great thing to be able to have under your belt and a community of support around you.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Oh yeah,
that's a problem. We're not supporting each other.
It sounded beautifully when he said it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reality may be a little bit different, but then in your world, it's good, man. It's awesome. I just hope that we can, based on what you're saying, is that people, want to start, supporting our black-owned businesses, male and female.
You know what, Walt? It's not isolated to just him. It's what we hear in the media. Right now we have an opportunity to interview Michael, and he's able to say it and put it together so well. There are so many people supporting people. It's just that unfortunately in today's climate, it's negativity that kind of gets the attention.
Absolutely. I mean, bad news sells, right?
Yeah. So we're not at a loss here. It's just good to be able to hear it from someone.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, Mike, is that you worked in Washington, D.C., and you're in Greenville in North Carolina now. Contrast business in D.C. and other places versus North Carolina. Do you see any type of difference in how you manage your business or the opportunities that you have?
Sure. That's a really that's a great question. So I think retail in Washington, D.C. was a lot different because people there did not mind spending money. So a lot of times when I worked in those retail areas, they did not blink an eye to spend $1,600 on a Canali suit. They didn't blink an eye to spend, $1,800 on a Hickey Freeman suit, or, if they saw the quality, they saw the value, they spent the money on it without second guessing it. In North Carolina, working in retail is a little bit different. People had to kind of think about it. And it's not that people in North Carolina did not have the money. This is what I found out. People in North Carolina kind of allocate their money, towards other things. So, or they're a little bit more like, I'm going to hold on to this. Let's see what else you have. Let's see those things which, so that was the biggest difference between, Washington, D.C. and North Carolina. People in Washington, D.C. just did not mind, putting the money, putting the support as far as in a retail space and spending the money on what they felt that they had value in, right?
Oh, yeah.
As a North Carolina, you kind of had to do a little bit more digging with them. You had to kind of do a little bit more talking and, trying to talk them into the sale and things like that. As far as my business is concerned, now keep in mind, I started my business right before the pandemic, and that was in Washington, D.C. So a lot of times, here was the thing, that I was dealing with more competition in Washington, D.C. a little bit more. Nobody knew who I was as a custom clothier. But as I grew and people saw my work, the support in Washington, D.C. that I received, people in Washington, D.C. were a lot more like, okay, man, I see what you're doing. I like what you're doing. How can I get in? Come measure me. My money is ready. Things like that. Not that it's about the money for me, because I just enjoy doing this. But for me, I see that there's no hesitation with it. Whereas in North Carolina, there's a little bit more like, okay, well, let me think about it, or let me see, or, let me go run some numbers and things like that. So that's kind of probably the biggest differences in North Carolina. And then just people in Washington, D.C. and bigger cities, this probably from living in New York. The mindset is a little bit different than it is down south. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I think sometimes the value systems, or the way we kind of think and speak in terms of what we see value in, is a little bit different. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because it's kind of what makes Black America so beautiful in the different regions that we're in. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you definitely had to kind of redefine, or at least change up your marketing strategy across the various regions.
Oh, yes. And I did.
Since it seems like you reach out as far as west as California as well, are you finding the same thing, or do you find that it's a little bit, maybe some of your marketing strategies for California might be similar to that of what's for the DC crowds? So
actually, what's really funny with my clientele, my best friend lives in California. So a lot of that has been on the back of him doing word of mouth. But with California, because there's not as many Black custom clothiers that can really captivate the vision of what people are looking for in a custom suit on the West Coast, I didn't really have to do a lot of marketing. People saw my social media and immediately was like, well, I saw what you did for such and such. Can you emulate that? Can you, get me together? Like, I don't even see nothing else. I saw your work on Facebook. Like, I want it, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of what it was in California, because there is a scarcity of custom clothiers. I wouldn't say not custom clothiers, but Black custom clothiers that are willing to kind of do some different things with suiting, which is what we kind of do with the M Corbett Collection. And I think people from the West Coast gravitated to that a little bit easier. So the marketing strategy out there was a little bit easier. It gets a little bit tricky when you're talking about areas like Atlanta, Houston, things like that, where it is oversaturated with custom clothiers in those areas. So,
what do you feel that you're bringing that's a little bit different to some of those areas? Are you saying that your clothes has more of that swag that's needed?
So
you bringing the sauce?
I'm bringing the sauce. Listen, I'm bringing the secret sauce. But no, what I will say is that for me, I have a focus on being tall. My dad is a bigger guy. I'm a bigger gentleman myself. My friends are bigger, so I have a focus on being tall. So for me, that was my niche was finding. Getting big and tall clients to buy into it, because even for regular custom clothiers, if I go to a custom clothing site and all I'm seeing is size 42, everybody who's been to the gym and stuff, I feel a little bit uncomfortable approaching that to say, hey, can you do something for me when I might be 400, 500 pounds, 6'2", a little bit of a harder fit. So that was kind of the upper hand that I had in this particular market. In this particular market, the other thing was too is that some of the opportunities where I was commissioned to design different things for different clients and being able to display that, there weren't too many other people that were doing those kinds of designs on suits. It was a little scary because I grew up in a very conservative space of selling suits. Black suits, gray suits, navy suits. There wasn't a whole lot of color involved. So the first time someone commissioned me to say, hey, Mike, can you do this special design for me? I was nervous because I was like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But those things started to really become a hit with people. And they were just like, hey, man, I got to have what you did there. Whatever you did for such and such, can you do that in a different color? So that was the kind of the other upper hand that I had with entering the business. And I think for me, I like to be able to think of myself as eclectic and versatile, being able to adapt to the style. So being able to do a classic traditional pinstripe suit for that gentleman that's going to the boardroom to sit down and do a presentation, and being able to do something for that kid that's going to prom that has his own personality. He's artistic. he wants to show his personality in his suit, and we doing something multicolored, but it looks good. He's having fun. So I like to be able to see myself as that person that's kind of can do it a little bit of it all, but still not lose the identity of my brand. So
sounds like it may. Will it also include, like, let's just say if a gentleman comes to you and they like your style, they want something in that flavor, but they're not sure. Can you help guide them to something?
I sure can. This happens all the time. I get a lot of guys come to me and say, "Hey, I love what you did, but I don't know if I can pull that off." And my first question, let's say, "Hey, why don't we try executing it like this? Let's do it in a little bit of a muted color and see if you're a little bit more comfortable doing it in a little bit of a muted color, something darker. Let's play with the design, but let's play with it in some darker colors so that it's not too much. At least the design is speaking, but you don't have color and design going." Takes a special guy to be able to pull off a special design suit that has color in it, and the design of it is like multidimensional as well. So a lot of times we'll play with colors, and I think in that consultation too, I can tell based off personality whether or not this person is going to feel comfortable in it. There are some guys I can tell right off the bat with their personality, they're going to want something that's like the peacock. When they walk in the room, they want to be seen. And there's some guys that sit in the chair that I'm like, they just are low key, but they want something nice. They want to feel good. So I think it's all about being discerning in that appointment space with that particular client. Because I don't have to know you, but after probably talking to you 10 or 15 minutes, I can kind of tell like, oh, Walter is not going to fare well in a yellow suit. Let's get Walter in a
no, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm not going to fare well in a yellow or red or blue.
Yeah,
blue. Yeah, navy blue. Yes, that's my favorite.
And I think that's the important, and that's the beautiful thing about doing in-person consultations. And a lot of things have moved online. We recognize that, but being able for me to sit and get to know you, get to know where you're from, what your daily life looks like, things of that kind of helps me decide, okay, I don't know if we should move in this direction yet, or maybe we should go here instead of there, because I think you'll be best suited or more comfortable in this. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. Yes,
sounds good.
Yes. I've been lucky, though, in the sense that when I used to buy suits, and I had to wear them all every day until they had this dress down thing. Mm-hmm. All right. I only had two types of suits. I had gray and I had navy blue. Those are the only two suits that I use. All right. What do you think of that? And
there's nothing wrong with that, because what I will tell you with the gray suit and navy blue suit, those are the two most versatile colors that you can purchase. You can get, I don't know how many shirt and tie combinations with a gray suit or with a navy blue suit. You can wear the gray pants with the blue jacket, vice versa. So gray and navy blue are probably the two most versatile colors that a gentleman can have in his particular wardrobe. So,
okay,
I'm just going to throw
we're on the same page here. Okay,
I'm just going to.
Yeah, go ahead, Keno.
It's funny because as the woman on the call, I was thinking, Walter, it sounds like you need to expand your color palette. But,
no, that was the culture. The culture.
And then the next thing, I understand. And then the next thing that came to me was, if you have a thought, Michael, what was your thought on Obama showing up in the tan suit? Breaking the mold.
You know what?
What, to the White House?
That was Easter 2014, and let me tell you, he looked fly in that tan suit. Because I would tell you, sometimes people of that complexion, tan tends to wash them out a little bit. But that was like a perfect tan. President Obama just had like a natural swag. He was
cool. Definitely.
He was very cool, and so I think it looked really good. It wasn't too much. It was just right. And I think it was a little bit of a shock factor because no other president had ever stepped outside of those lines before as far as wardrobe. And so President Obama, pushed the envelope, but he didn't do too much. He did a khaki, which is traditional for Easter. And it looked really well. It was executed well, and it still did not wash him out or make him look too pale in that color. So I enjoyed it when I saw him wear it. People still talk about it to this day, even 10 years after that.
I heard about it recently. I forgot where, but I heard about it recently. But they were just breaking all kind of barriers. Michelle had her arms out.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were just fine. They were
just serving left and right.
Oh yes.
I like that blue suit he used to wear. I know it was different suits, but the blue, with the light blue shirt, the navy blue with the light blue shirt, and maybe a yellow polka dot tie. Man, that's cool. I like that.
Does anyone come to mind when you say, you know what, I'd love to see this notable person, right, in one of my suits? Or some of the people that come to mind that you think could kind of really...
some people
Like
that
if you could, if someone was to call you and say, "Hey, I would like for XYZ person to wear, one of your suits," who would come to mind?
Obama.
I would love
President
to
Obama.
see. I would love to see President Obama for sure
Yes,
in one of my
yes.
suits. He would just pull it off well. But I'm thinking someone probably like Rick Ross. Like before he lost all that weight, I would have loved to have seen Rick Ross in one of my suits when he was in that bigger weight, because he had the confidence of it. You could tell he wasn't afraid, and I think he would have really embodied my collection. Also, I would love to see. It's quite a few people that come to mind when we're talking about suiting and things of that nature. There's an actor. I don't know if you guys saw the reboot of Dynasty that came. I can't think of the guy's name. I think his name is Sam O'Keefe.
No, I
He's an
didn't.
African guy. He acted in a reboot of Dynasty. I actually reached out to him. I reached out to him on via social media. But I would have loved to have seen him in my suit. I mean, that man just on the show had always well dressed, well put together, tailored, really well and things of that nature. And I remember telling my friends, I was like, if I can get him to wear one of my suits, I would be the happiest person ever. So
Yeah, he
those
wouldn't
are
have
probably
to
the
pay,
two or three
right?
people. Yeah. You know what? I would do it for free. Look, you just
Yeah,
wear
that's
it
what I'm
and
saying,
just tag me in it. Hey, I'll do it for free for you. So those are probably the couple people that come to mind first when I think about someone wearing my brand. So,
Well, think of it this way: he just hasn't responded yet. He
hasn't responded yet. Yes, ma'am. He is coming.
His people are getting it to him.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a process,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to ask you a question here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have always espoused the blue blazer. You can wear a blue blazer anywhere in the world.
Oh, yes.
We're international. I'm an international traveler, and I've been all over the world, right? So the blue blazer, once I don that, man, I can go into any meeting with a blue blazer, gray pants, and a light blue, or in a white shirt. I mean, what do you think about the blue blazer? Do you think that we should use more blue blazers?
You know what? I think we should. I think we should get back to I don't see as many people doing the blue blazer, but I think it's something that we've kind of lost sight of, right? And I think because post-pandemic, everything is so casual now. Like you go to the banks, everything is casual. Even church now, right, is casual. But I think you bring up a good point. I think getting back to the blue blazer, because I remember when I worked at Joseph A. Bank 2010 and 2015, that was probably our number one selling product was a navy blue blazer, because people could dress it up. You could put on your shirt and tie with it, and put on a nice pair of wool gabardine pants with it.
You
shoes,
could dress it down.
and you had a outfit. You could dress it down. You could throw on just an open collar shirt, and even you could wear it with jeans. And I think we have lost sight of that. For one, a lot of stores, especially brick and mortar stores like your Joseph A. Bank, Men's Warehouse, things like that, they don't offer too many suiting options anymore anyway, because the demand for them are not there. But, the people that do wear suits to church, a lot of them probably 60 to 65% of church goers, especially Black church goers, are going custom suiting now. So there's not a lot of demand for people to go in the stores to be able to say, hey, you know what? Give me a gray, give me a blue, give me a stripe, like people used to do 10 and 12 years ago. So I think we need to get back to the navy blazer. That's something that I think we should push more for, because, like I said, you can wear a navy blazer as a kid. I remember having a navy blazer as a kid. I used to wear to church. I had navy blazers in college. It was just such a go-to, because when I couldn't think of anything to wear, but I had to dress up, I could go to my navy blazer and put my navy blazer on and work from there. And it was just something that was a staple in a gentleman's wardrobe. And for a long time, they said that the navy blazer was like the black dress in a woman's wardrobe. The navy blazer was that staple piece in a gentleman's wardrobe. And I think we've kind of gotten away from it, but hopefully we can get back to it. So,
all right, I'm gonna throw some designers out to you, and you tell me what you think of them.
okay.
All right, in suits now. I used to wear Yves Saint Laurent. What do you think of Yves Saint Laurent?
I think Yves Saint Laurent suits they still have that classic feel to them. They still, and they've gotten back to suiting this past season, so they're doing a little bit more suiting on their runway. But I think Yves Saint Laurent is a high quality suit and a very nice, nicely cut suit. And of course, because it's Yves Saint Laurent, it's going to be a nice fabric and a nice material anyway. So I definitely love their collection.
Okay. And what about Pierre Cardin?
Pierre Cardin. So I haven't seen anything from Pierre Cardin in a while. I think the last time I've seen suiting from them was maybe JCPenney belt. But I think they've worked really well, especially for the classic gentleman, someone looking for something classic. But to me, their suits always still had a little bit of a modern flair to it, whether they were doing like a bird's eye fabric or they were doing some kind of shark skin in the fabric of their suit. I think that it was a really good look for them. So,
okay. And what about John Henry?
John Henry is a brand I have not seen or heard of in a long, long time. So
yeah, I'm going back. I used to buy a lot of shirts from John Henry. That's why I was asking. So I'm not surprised. I haven't, but then again, I don't have to dress the way I used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go to Barney's. That's where I shop I bought most of my stuff from Barney's. Yeah. So when you mentioned the guys on my paying $1,000, $1,500 for a suit, doing it back then in the day when I was working, it was nothing for me to buy a $1,100 suit. All right.
Yeah,
and that was Barney's. You walk in Barney's, you got to have some money anyway.
Oh, yes, you got to have money. You got to have money to just walk in there. So
yeah. Otherwise, they're looking at you funny. But anyway, I'm not to go off topic, which I did right then. All right, and I'm trying to think of another designer, but let's move on. Okay. In the essence of time, in time, as far as time is concerned. And Kina, you have anything?
See, I'm still on, who would you dress? So being that you said,
I know you're gonna hit me. Go ahead. Yeah.
You know what it is? Like I know, I mean, I'm not a big woman, but I've always heard over the years is, women having bigger women having challenges finding nice clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just threw, nowadays it's a lot, it's gotten better, but oftentimes when you pass a certain size, it still wasn't tailored to fit them properly. They're walking outside looking like a muumuu, where that same outfit on a size, 6 or 8 looks very different, right? So
right.
It wasn't flattering to them. So I love that you're entering this territory. But, since you mentioned that it could be a woman's suit, is there, let's just say, a notoriable woman, let's just say like a Janelle Monáe or something, who you think you would kill in one of your suits?
I think that Janelle Monáe would, but I also think that Solange, Beyonce's sister, would actually kill in one of my suits. Solange would. Jill would wear one of my suits as well. Somebody else, I'm trying to think who would wear my suits really well. Even just take your Jasmine Crockett, that's in Congress right now.
Yes.
Yep, Jasmine Crockett would look really good in one of my suits.
What do you I'm going to screw up her last name. There's a comedian, Michelle, I want to say Butau, Butau.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe you don't know who she is. Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard of her.
No, I never heard of her.
All right.
I may have seen her, but recall the name. Okay. That's going back. I don't want to go back here. I do want to talk about, what is your demographic though? Who are you targeting?
80% of my clientele are churchgoers. So people that go to convocations, people that go to church conferences, people that, preachers. I get a lot of preachers, so much to where I started making preaching garments for preachers.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of my clientele, preachers, churchgoers, and things like that, because I am connected to quite a few people that are, within church realms and stuff. So I've been able to find my footing and network within those spaces. And also too, just in the community as well, I get a lot of people that have different events to go to, because you already know, in Greenville, Robertsonville, Williamson, there's not many places to shop at. If you get invited to the company Christmas party in December, you pretty much out of luck with what you can find, especially if you're a bigger guy and trying to order to get it. So I get a lot of those clients as well. That's like, hey, Mike, I got an event coming up. Listen, what can you do for me? I couldn't find nothing in the store. And then also too, a lot of my clientele is big and tall. And it's always amazing to me to be able to measure somebody. One gentleman in South Carolina, he was actually a 75 chest. And so to be able to see work on him, and he was happy with it, and he loved the way it looked. That's 75. 75 chest. He was a little bit of a tough fit, but after seeing the work come back and it looked really good on him, I will say, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So those are the things that I think when you're asking about demographic, that's who my client is. Will that change in the future? Hopefully. Hopefully I can expand. But when I think about those that support and constantly inquire, that's the group. So.
But it also sounds like you have an opportunity to give back, and when you can do something that you love and make people feel good, you can't top that.
You can't. And that's the thing that I love about this business is, just seeing these guys come in here, try this suit on. For example, last week, this gentleman came by and, again, bigger guy, it was 68 chest, 68 stomach. Bigger guy has a hard time finding clothes. And so his wife messaged me. She was like, we're nervous about this suit. And I was like, why are you nervous? She was like, we scared it's not going to fit. And I said, well, I can assure you it's going to fit. It's going to fit. And so he came Memorial Day, picked up the suit. Suit fitted like a glove. I mean, the suit looked really good to a point. He was like, man, he said, oh my God. He was like, I'll be back. I'm coming back to get some more stuff. He was like, I'm so impressed with this. And so those are the things, like you just said, Miss Tina, is that, sometimes do you have frustrating days in business? You do, like anything else. But those are the things that be like, you know what? I did what I was supposed to do. And so it was one of those days where it was just like, I did what I was supposed to do. This worked out really well. And I have a client that is all smiles walking out with a garment. So.
Just walk me through. I know Tina touched upon this a little bit earlier. Walk me through a person. Okay, I want to order a suit. How do I go about it? Start from I get up and I go to the online or whatever. Just start me somewhere in there.
Sure. So a lot of times, most of my leads have come from just social media and word of mouth. Now that I have a website, one of the things that I will do is say, hey, go to my website. You can book on my calendar. So I have a calendar connected on my website. You can pick a day and time that works for you. And then you'll choose whether this appointment will be virtual or whether it'll be in person. And let's just say, for the sake of conversation, it's going to be a in-person consultation. You're going to be in Williamston. You're going to come drive to Greenville. So we'll pick a date. You're going to come Saturday at 9:30 a.m. You'll come in, and what we would do is I'll get to know you, who you are, who Walter Latham is. And those questions are important because I know what to show you. If you're a man that lives in Florida, I don't need to be showing you flannel wool, right?
That's
but
true.
If you're a guy that lives in Boston, I might need to show you some tweeds and stuff for fall, winter. So I like to get to know what my client needs, what their daily lives are, what kind of career did they do, what they're going to be using the suit for. And from there, we'll go through fabric. We'll start looking at fabric, getting them to touch the fabric, kind of comparing colors. After we've selected fabric, buttons, lining, all of the bells and whistles for the suit, selected style, we'll go through a fitting process. Now, this fitting process is a 17-point measurement. So we'll measure chest, waist, stomach, thigh, calf, knee, ankle, bicep. All those measurements are done in this particular fitting. We'll do that, go through that. We'll even do a try-on process. If I have the size for you to try on, what kind of try on, just to see as far as jacket length is concerned, sleeve length is concerned. We'll try on just to make sure that it's to your liking as far as the sleeve length and jacket length. From there, it's about a 4 to 6 week process, just depending on how we're running, how my tailors are running as far as schedule is concerned. And then we'll take a deposit on the particular garment. Once that 6 weeks or the garment is back here, I'll give you a call and say, hey, Mr. Latham, come on in. I have your garment. Let's set up for a final fitting. So we'll go through, have you try that garment on. We'll pin for any alterations, anything like that. And then you'll have your garment. So that's pretty much a pretty straightforward process. We try to make the process as easy and seamless as possible. And with men, I would tell you, with men, a lot of times, most of my clientele, because they are men, they'll be like, hey, Mike, I trust you. Just pick something. I need this color. I need this style. I don't ask about no lining. Just do what you do, man. Just do what you do. So a lot of my male clientele would do that. And I get some clientele just like, no, I need a 11-inch split in the back. I need a 3-inch cuff. Make sure you do that waistband 2 inches to the left. So, but most of the clientele, most men are not as detailed.
I'm not.
So, yeah. Right.
I was lucky. I just walk in the store. Just give me a 40 too long.
Right.
That's it. And it fits. I was just lucky that I'm built like that, I was built. I lost, some weight. But anyway, yeah, I walk in the store, give me a 42 long, and they'd be amazed at it. I didn't have to do anything but the cuff. So, yeah. Now take me through virtual.
So for that, it works a little bit differently. So for that, we'll say, Mr. Latham, I noticed you're in New York now. Are you planning on, coming down to Greenville? And most of the time, you're like, nope. So from there, we'll say, let's schedule a virtual consultation. During this virtual consultation, what ends up happening is we'll schedule it via FaceTime or Zoom. And it works this sort of the same way as in terms of me showing you fabrics. You just can't feel the fabrics, but I'll show you fabrics. I'll show you linings. Introduce some styles to you and things like that through this virtual consultation. And when it gets to the measurement part, I generally present my clientele with a couple of options. I say, hey, I can walk you through a fitting if you have a spouse partner there that can help you get measured. Or if you have a tailor that you trust, we can have you go there and get those measurements done. Or a seamstress rather that you trust, you can go there and get your measurements done, bring those back to me, things of that nature. And then from there, we'll still go through, set the payment, and then we'll go through a process of going ahead and putting the garment into getting it made. And then once the garment comes back, we will, I'll ship the garment to that particular client. We'll do a virtual try on and go from there. So a little different, but kind of the same, if that makes sense. So.
All right. That's good. Yeah, it does it makes a lot of sense. My only question around that is, are you relying on you said that you would have them go to a seamstress or something like that to get those measurements. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Now, what about your online? I mean, that's a portal. That's, that's a portal for you. Mm-hmm. Now give me, what is your website again? I'm going to check you out. Now, what is your website?
Sure. My website is www.themcorbettcollection.com.
What other handles? You mentioned Facebook. What is your Facebook?
So Facebook, my business page is M Corbett Collection. For my Instagram, it's M Corbett Collection as well. And I'm also on TikTok at M Corbett Collection. So.
Oh, okay. You're everywhere then. Okay, cool. Cool beans. All right. Before we close, I want to make sure I got all your information here and that our audience knows how to get in contact with you. All right. And like I said, a lot of this information will be in the show notes, but I'd like you to verbalize it for people that, just want to hear it and write it down. Right.
Went to someone else, got his measurements done. He came back, the suit was all messed up. And so he said, can I bring the suit down? And you look at it. I said, sure. So he brought the suit down. Generally, in a situation like this, I wouldn't necessarily replace it because they weren't measurements, but I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm going to replace it. I'm going to go ahead and replace it, and take care of you. And don't you know, right there in that particular moment, he spent another $2,000 with me on suits. Right where we were seeing, he's like, man, I want to get some more suits from you here. So had I not, been kind of like, oh, I'm not going to do this and things like that, he would have never been one of my top customers to this day. So those are the things sometimes that, as business owners and entrepreneurs, you sometimes make those tough decisions, especially when it comes to your stuff. But sometimes they can, that can be the difference between saving a client or, not saving that customer. So, yeah.
Okay, I got you. I mean, that's the cost of doing business, basically.
Oh, yeah.
That's, that's definitely what that is.
One of the things that just came to mind when you say that there, someone else takes the measurements. Sounds like there's a little bit of a risk that could be associated with that because what if they took the right measurements, but the person gained or lost weight?
I've had that happen before. So I've had
and
that
you don't really,
lost weight.
You don't really know if they took the measurements right because you never really got a chance to see the person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, and those are some of the things. Now, I haven't had that specific thing happen where somebody lost or gained weight, but I have had it where I measured a gentleman for his wedding. And I asked him, I was like, hey, are you going to be losing weight before the wedding? Oh, no, probably a couple pounds, whatever. He loses 50 pounds right before the wedding. The week of the wedding, he tries to see me. I was like, oh, suit's too big. And so I was like, okay. So, we kind of had to go get the alterations done and just make sure he had it done. But those things do happen. And that's like, Mr. Walter just said, those are kind of things, the cost of doing business sometimes. And it's just all about, too, if, the customer, and I tell people all the time, especially people that want to get in this business, the customer just wants to know that you have a solution for them.
Right.
And so one of the things, if that does happen or something like that, it's just coming up with a viable solution that works for both of us. Hey, okay, so let's see if we can get this altered first. And then let's go from there. So, those are the things that I think, as an entrepreneur, you have to kind of have that skill set to be able to say, like, hey, let's try to get this taken care of as best as possible. But if we can't, this is the other option that we can present, and we can kind of meet in the middle to make sure that each party does not feel like they've been slighted or anything like that. So,
okay. Now, what does the future look like for you in your space?
The future for me, for M Corbett Collection, is a actual brick and mortar store where people can come into and actually be able to enjoy fittings. This space can be a place where, we'll have the game on, especially those wedding parties that have to wait, the game can be playing, but just a space where people can come try on, pick up, and things of that nature. So I'm looking at trying to expand in areas like Atlanta and Charlotte, things of that nature, Washington, D.C., some brick and mortar buildings. That's what the future is looking like for me. And then also to creating a brand that, as you can see, I have a beard. So creating a brand that's based off what's called Bearded, and that's something that's coming down the pipeline, hopefully by this year. And that would be more of a casual line. And honestly, it's still going to be custom, so you'll still be able to get custom wear, but it'll be more things like custom tracksuits, custom leisure wear. It'll be custom tailored wear, but it'll be custom tailored wear with a twist, something that, that's a little bit more of a dressy casual approach. But it'll still be paying homage to, being bearded, and then also just bringing awareness to prostate cancer. As we know, November is No Shave November, so that brings awareness to prostate cancer and stuff like that. So letting some of those proceeds go back towards funding and research for prostate cancer. So that's kind of some of the things I have in the pipeline, and is just kind of expanding from there. Hopefully, we can have some of that done by the end of this year, but just taking our time and just realizing, that it's not a race for who gets there first, but just trying to be as efficient and as effective as possible. So,
okay, excellent, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, sir.
I just want you to repeat all your handles for me again, please, for the audience,
sure,
just in case they don't check the show notes.
Sure. So that website is www.themcorbett, and then on Facebook, M Corbett Collection, Instagram, M Corbett Collection, and then on TikTok, M Corbett Collection as well.
Excellent. I do want to thank Tracy Stokes, my first cousin.
Yes.
He referred to you. He's my first cousin, Tracy Stokes.
Oh, yeah. It was my neighbor for 30 years.
Yes. Yeah, Tracy. So he's a good man. All right. So, when he referred to you, I knew right away you were going to be good. And, we appreciate you, man. I'm very proud of our brothers and sisters that are out there, because that's the only way we're going to progress. That's the only way we're going to progress going forward. We need, we always complain, they didn't hire me for this, but we have to create our own. And then we can hire who we want. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the way it goes. That's what we got to do, and I mean, we got to do that. What's that term, Keena, that we use? Retrofit? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like, we got to retrofit and start going back to that and then bring it forward. We got, yeah, go ahead.
I actually like the name the way M Corbett Collection sounds. It rolls off the tongue pretty well. And I'm looking at your IG, and it's put together really nice. I'm going to go ahead and follow you.
Thank you so much.
It looks really nice.
Did you follow us, Michael? Did you follow us?
If I haven't, I definitely will go back and follow you.
Yeah, you got to follow us on Facebook. We got a Facebook.
Okay.
The Walt Weekly. All right, podcast. We have a website, which you could go on and subscribe to. All right. That is www.thewaltweekly.com. We also have a YouTube channel, which is thewaltweeklypodcast.com. And what else? Did I forget anything, Kena?
I'm sorry. I'm over here looking at the suits, and there's a yellow one.
You gonna say that my birthday is no, my birthday is this
That is
weekend.
I was saying you were asking me questions, and I'm like on his IG, and there's this yellow and gray suit.
Oh man,
that is like, I'll just go old school. It's off the chain.
Cool, baby, cool.
Suit I'm thinking about. That was my suit I made for my 30th birthday. So
yes. And then there's a gentleman. He's got this real nice, like, I don't know. He's leaning up against a car, and it's black, and half of it, like, a third of it is white. It's got like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a European, but not. This is really nice. It's really nice.
Check out that Instagram page. Kena loves it. I got to check it after this interview.
This is sharp. This is what we want to see the men in today. Okay, so really quickly, not to go so far, I'm always complaining that, women go out and we dress up, right? And then the dude's like in jeans, a white tee fresh out the bag, and some sneakers. And it's like, really, dude, that's what you thought was dressing up? Like I skate a lot. I was in Detroit this past weekend at a multi-day skate event, and we had an adult prom last Sunday. It was so nice seeing guys dressed up. It was so nice.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. It's been like that. And my friends used to laugh at me all the time. We would go places or go out and stuff. Even now, like, we'll go out of town, be at the mall, and I'll be like super dressed up. My friends be like, "Hey, like, why are you so dressed up?" Or my parents be like, "Why did you get so dressed up?" And so, yeah, I just enjoy dressing up. And I think when you look good, you feel, so.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, that's where that blue blazer comes in, Kena. Because they can wear the jeans and everything and the sneakers, but they got the blue blazer on, which changes everything. Puts them in the game.
Okay. I want to say back in the day, right? And I don't know if he bought it in style, and I guess it's taboo to talk about him right now. But when Diddy, like, I used to love the way Diddy dressed back in the day when he started wearing like the blazers and the sneakers.
Yeah.
But like he knows how to do it up. But I'm talking differently. Like when dudes come out today, you're like, come on, you just did like a fresh Hanes out the pack. But the thing is this, like the girl is dressed from head to toe, pumps and everything. And it's like, come on, could you have tried?
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Again, I want to thank Tracy Stokes, for bringing us together, Michael. And then foremost, I want to thank you. All right. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for, I always have this fear, and Keena and I go a little bit about this, is that, if we don't get a grip, we're not going to exist 100 years from now. All right. So when I look at people like you, I'm looking at the future. Okay. Then that's the way we got to do it. We got to be entrepreneurs, control our own destiny for, as much as you can. You know what I mean? So with that said, thank you, Michael.